my friends. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Without Permission. I'm your host and your friend, Renee Spencer. Yep, that same girl who spent most of her school days literally having detention for, you guessed it, talking without permission. I have got a mic in front of my face and an entire platform that I do exactly that on a daily basis. Talk about a poetic moment. Welcome back to my show, you guys. I am so thankful that each one of you guys are here. I just had surgery yesterday, so I still feel a little loopy today. I found lumps in my back, and thankfully, one of the lumps was just scar tissue. Another lump was a lipoma, which is a benign tumor. Praise the Lord. The word benign felt so good to hear. So a little shout out right now. Go get the scary things on your body checked. So with all of that being said, I want to talk about something today that most of us, we kind of just shy away from this topic, especially when it comes to looking at our own lives and our own toxic patterns. So let me ask you, do you find yourself to constantly enter in toxic, abusive relationships? Even if you can recognize the red flags from early on, maybe you tend to overlook them or explain them away, like justify these poor behaviors. And the relationship might be full of manipulation, fighting, and intense highs and extreme lows. And part of you really confuses that intensity for passion and even love. And deep down, maybe that chaos feels normal, even if it's destroying you. Or do you find yourself in the same type of friend groups that are just fueled by drama and chaos and negativity, or even a constant crisis? Something's always going wrong. The group chat is kind of just always filled with tension and passive aggressiveness, jealousy. There's always someone fighting or somebody mad, or hell, that one person who's always venting. That's the one, we can all think of that one. And you just feel so drained every time you're around these people. Every time you open up their text message, you're just bracing yourself for what you're about to read. But then part of you feels really important because you're the one they rely on fixing it. And without all the chaos, the friendship would just feel empty, right? Or let's talk about your work environment. Do you feel like you're kind of at home in a toxic work environment? One where the leadership is just pure chaos. There is absolutely no boundaries. And the stress is at a constant level 10. I mean, your cortisol level at work is just insane. And you might say things to yourself to justify it well, this is just how it is in this field. It's a stressful job. Or things like, oh, I'm used to it. And then if things start to feel calm, organized, you end up feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So you unconsciously, you seek out that dysfunction that feels so familiar to you. Or what about just your personal life? Do you feel like you're in a constant state of survival mode? This is the one that hits me the most at home. I'm telling you, I feel like I live in a chronic state of fight or flight. Okay, there is no freeze. I'm either fighting or I'm flighting, one of the two. Do you feel like you tend to create problems because there are none in that current moment? Or maybe you overthink all of these neutral situations, or you have to stay in a constant go mode, even when nothing is falling apart, because that stillness, it makes you anxious. So you have to keep on the go to avoid that anxiety. And because of this, your body doesn't know how to relax. So it creates reasons not to relax. Or do you find yourself overcommitting, overfunctioning, or overextending? Maybe you're the one that signs up immediately to help anybody and everybody you know, even if your plate is already full. And maybe deep down, you truly just feel useless without a crisis to fix. And when life gets a little quiet, you end up seeking out that problem to solve. Because that chaos, it gives you purpose. And in peace, you feel like you're slacking. And let's say you finally get calm, right? You finally have this peaceful environment that we all want so badly. Maybe your relationship is steady. You have an amazing job. You're in the best shape of your life. Your finances, you're finally at a place where you're comfortable. But then you start picking and you start looking for the problems. And maybe you gain all the weight back. Maybe you spend all the money. You start finding areas in your relationship to criticize and to bicker and to poke the bear, because chaos, it's what you're used to. And peace to you feels suspicious. And if all of this makes you feel like, yep, that's me, and I feel crazy right now, you're not. You're not crazy. You know what you are? You're wired for survival. And that survival is actually self-sabotage. And we like to call this comfort in the chaos. Grab your coffee, grab your journal, and let's dive into it. Okay, let's be real. When I say comfort, I do not mean enjoyment. I mean your nervous system recognizes it. It's familiar. It knows how to handle the chaos. It doesn't know how to relax. And here's the exact situation that caused your nervous system to be wired this way. If you grew up in a house that was constantly full of tension, someone was always mad, or in any given moment, it felt like there was going to be a massive explosion, your brain, it didn't learn safety. It learned readiness. And this is why when nothing is going wrong, your body, it starts to look for it. And when it can't find it, like in that secure relationship or when you're in the best shape of your life, it will create the chaos. Your nervous system is literally wired right now to be comfortable in that chaos. And that is why peace to you, it actually feels unsafe. And for me, my household growing up was like every day, constant fights. The dynamics every day were completely unpredictable. Like you didn't know if it was going to be a good day or if you were going to get your ass beat that day, or if all the glass on the shelves were going to be broken, if every cabinet was going to be slammed, every pot and plant was going to be broken, a parent be punching their arm through the window. You just never knew what was going to happen. So I was just like constantly bracing myself for the impact of the chaos, right? And so what I've had to learn over time is that my nervous system has adapted and it associates this dysfunction, it becomes familiar. But it happens because it's all we've ever known. And this is exactly where science comes in. A 2013 study in the Journal of Neuroscience showed that the amygdala, which is the brain's fear center, becomes hyperactive in people who have prolonged trauma experiences, making them more likely to perceive a threat even in non-threatening environments. And in the book, this is one of my favorite books, you guys, is The Body Keeps Score. It talks about how extensively how trauma rewires the brain to seek out survival instead of happiness, and how the nervous system will literally react to calm as if it is the chaos until it's reconditioned. And the concept of hemostasis in trauma psychology explains how the body tries to maintain a steady internal state, even if that means that state is dysfunctional, because it feels stable. When you have been in survival mode for so long, stillness literally feels like danger to yourself. And this doesn't mean you're broken. This just means your brain is actually trying to just protect you. But that protection, it's self-sabotage and it's keeping you small. And the most beautiful thing about all of this is your brain, it wants what is familiar, which is why it gravitates towards that chaos, right? Like we talked about. So if it wants what's familiar and it gravitates towards the chaos, we rewire our brain to actually gravitate towards peace and stillness and make that what's familiar and make that what feels like home. And the answer is yes. And according to Dr. Norman Deutsch, he said the brain is actually constantly rewiring itself based on repeated behaviors and environments. When you constantly expose yourself to calm and stable environments, they are gonna feel really uncomfortable at first, right? Because it's not normal for you. But your brain will begin to recognize them as the new normal. And in 2011, a study was done that found that practicing mindfulness for just 8 short weeks completely increased the brain's gray matter in areas that are linked to memory, emotional regulation, and learning. In 8 short weeks of consciously practicing mindful new behaviors will actually quiet the amygdala of your brain, which is your fear's center. And research by Dr. Kristen Neff shows that self-compassion actually increases emotional resilience. So when you respond to yourself in these moments with kindness instead of judgment, your nervous system will soften and it will allow it to readapt. So in these moments where you're normally just like super hypercritical of yourself and you want to ask yourself like, what the heck is wrong with me? Turn that criticism into compassion and tell yourself, yeah, this feels really unsettling, and that's okay. And the beauty of these actually challenging truths is we can either be part of the problem or part of the solution. We have the power to create a new normal for our nervous system. And I just think that is so amazing. And where I could relate the most in all of this, you guys, is not so much in my like intimate relationships with a partner, but in actually my friendships, okay? I used to think my entire purpose on this planet was to be the emotional support animal for every single person in my life. I'm not kidding. If your life was a dumpster on fire, guess who was running towards it with all their might? With a water bottle and a therapy degree she didn't have. And let's be real, I liked it. I feel like I felt needed. And not in this like fun kind of, oh, these people need me way. But if I'm not needed, then who am I? Being the hero of so many people's story, it made me feel important. Like if somebody's whole world was just crumbling apart, and if I swooped in and I fixed it all, that meant I really mattered. It meant that I had worth. And meanwhile, my own life, it was a mess. And I had no energy to deal with it because I was too busy holding up everybody else's life. And the worst part about all of this is most of these people didn't even want their life put back together. They also found comfort in the chaos. And when I started healing, which by the way is very recent for me, something shifted. And all of a sudden, I stopped getting that thrill of being needed all of the time. And I realized I wasn't helping anybody. I was enabling their behavior. And don't get me wrong, I still can get caught up in this kind of unhealthy dynamic of wanting to be everybody's hero. I do truly believe that God gave me a gift to show up for people, and I don't ever want to take away from that. So I've had to really learn, like, it doesn't have to be one extreme or the other. But now I do not want friendships that require me to come flying in with a cape. I don't want to be around people who just want me in their life when their life is falling apart. And letting go of that fixer role, it actually gave me space to be a real friend. Someone who listens without trying to just patch it up. Someone who can sit with you through the hard stuff without turning it into a project. Because, oh my gosh, that's what I would do. And it turns out that's actually what most people want. And I have rehearsed this so much that now my brain sees this as the new normal. And I don't feel completely uncomfortable anymore when I'm not the first one to step in to save the day. So I want to wrap this up with these 3 truths, okay? Familiar, it doesn't always mean safety. Just because it feels normal doesn't mean it's right for you. And peace, it takes a hell of a lot of practice and repetition. And that's okay. Keep showing up for it anyways. The third thing, you do not have to live in chaos just because it's what you know. You are allowed to choose differently every moment of every day, even if that different scares you. Lean into it, and not just for a successful life, but for a still life. We all deserve to feel comfort and at home in stillness. And I know that's what I'm striving for. Did you know that Dr. Jill Taylor found that our stress response only lasts 90 seconds? Just a minute and a half for those stress hormones to flood through your body and through your nervous system. And after that 90 seconds, if your stress is still hanging around, it's not actually because of what's happening that caused that stress. It's what your thoughts are telling yourself about it. Your thoughts are keeping you on panic and in repeat. So when we feel that rising of anxiety, here's what I want you to do. I want you to pause, acknowledge it, thank your body for trying to protect you because that's what it's trying to do. And then ask yourself this extremely powerful question. What is true right now? Not what feels familiar, not what your trauma is expecting, but what is actually true. And right now, the truth is you're safe. You're breathing. Maybe you're wearing soft sweatpants. Maybe you're in a super comfortable blanket. Maybe you're holding that warm mug of hot coffee. The sky is beautiful outside. Your body, it's okay. You're not back there in all the chaos and all the turmoil and trauma. You're here and you're safe. And our minds will amplify whatever we focus on. So when we can intentionally notice what's real, what's good, and what's true, in that exact moment, we give our nervous system permission to stop bracing for impact, to let go, and to start healing. Healing doesn't always look like this big breakthrough that just happened. Sometimes it's truly just asking ourselves, what's true right now? And realizing that peace may not feel natural right now, but it's still allowed to be yours. So I want you to visualize yourself not reacting, because your subconscious, it doesn't know the difference between real and imagined experiences. So when you start to rehearse this type of calmness, your brain starts to actually recognize and say, this is my new normal. Not chaos, not tension, not extreme highs and lows, but peace. So remember these tools, okay? Redirect your attention to what's true in this moment. And remember, it's just a quick 90 seconds. I love you guys. So if you're someone who keeps asking yourself, why do I keep attracting this constant chaos? This is your episode. And remember, you're not broken, you're becoming. And that healing, it's gonna feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. You are not alone. We are literally doing this together. And if this episode resonated with you, please send it to somebody else that you know who might be dealing with the same type of familiar chaos that they find comfort in. And please be sure to follow and subscribe and leave me a positive review. And remember, around here, you and I, we are talking without permission, because why? Somebody has to. We are learning, we are healing, and we are growing together. I'm your friend and your host, Renee Spencer, and I will see you in the next episode. I love you guys.